Hi, everyone. Welcome back. And this is the NACIS 2020 Business Lunch Meeting. Sorry for that little interlude there. And this is where we get to discuss with you what the board's been doing over the last year, and also an opportunity to listen to our committees and what they've been doing. And then after that, to say hello to the new people coming in and farewell to the people who are leaving. Okay, let's see. All right, so, excuse me, went ahead there. So part of the review here with NACIS 2020, one of the things we've done that's new and exciting is to set up a new student scholarship, an annual scholarship. And this is a brainchild of former President Patrick Keneally, and is a very exciting new initiative of ours. We've also broadened our initiatives on diversity and inclusion, and you're going to hear a lot more about that in just a very short while. And of course, we are publishing our 5th volume of Atlas of Design. If you haven't or pre-ordered yours, what are you waiting for? Please make sure that you get your copy of Atlas of Design. One of the other things we did was we really regretted not being able to go to Minneapolis this year live in person. And we felt very badly about that and about that we weren't, about everything that happened in Minneapolis over the tragic death of George Floyd. So the board decided to give some donations to 2 organizations in Minneapolis that have been doing great work in rebuilding urban areas that were destroyed or damaged during the riots there. So we gave those to We Love Lake Street and MEDA, the Metropolitan Economic Development Association. Another good thing that happened this year is the awarding of a new Corliss Benefit AO Award. You'll hear about that later tonight. And we also launched our NACIS shop. You probably have heard about that or seen it on the various channels. T-shirts, and probably soon there'll be other things going on there as well. So the NACIS shop is another new initiative that we're excited about. But probably one of the best things we've done all year was to come together for this virtual meeting. Not an easy thing to do, but we pulled it off, and we're all very proud of it. So now I'd like to go off and allow the committees to do their updates.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Rosemary Wardley. I'm the chair of the Communications and Outreach Committee for a little bit longer. And I'm here to give you an update on the Diversity and Inclusion Subcommittee that falls under CNO. And as I mentioned, I'm actually cycling off the board after 2 terms and 4 years of service. But just because I'm leaving the board does not mean that my role within diversity and inclusion is going to go away. And that's to say, because like all great initiatives at NACIS, they do the best when they have volunteers from our membership and enthusiasm from people who aren't on the board. They actually work better that way because the board has lots of things going on, and we often can't put all of our focus onto various initiatives. So I wanted to just say that this, we couldn't do it without you, and that's very true about the Diversity and Inclusion Subcommittee. It's existed for a long time, but it was really reinvigorated last year after there was some really great discussion at our Tacoma annual conference. And so this was a list of subcommittee volunteers that kind of signed up after that, after the conference to help out. I wanted to just give a big thank you to all of them, and of course invite others who want to join us. So yeah, after the Tacoma annual meeting last year, we had a couple of meetings in December and January to do some brainstorming about initiatives and ideas that we wanted to bring to the board before the spring board meeting. And so we came up with some long-term initiatives and some short-term initiatives that you'll see here. The long-term initiatives are things such as exploring conference locations outside of the United States, creating a diversity statement, researching diversity training for board members, expanding travel grants, and revamping our outreach to minority serving institutions, community colleges, and historically Black colleges and universities. Those are things that are ongoing and long-term, because we know that they might take more than just 1 year, many years actually, to really have them come to fruition. So then we also had some short-term initiatives. Those are things that were more conference related and things that we thought that could be accomplished within maybe a year. And so those initiatives were examination of panels, keynotes, and speakers with an eye through sort of the diversity and inclusion lens, expansion of the new attendee ambassador role, considerations of accessibility, moderator training and instruction, improved transparency and communication within the organization for what was already being done, land acknowledgements for conference location, and talks in non-English languages. So we brought those to the spring board meeting, which actually happened near the end of February, not quite spring. And we had some, the board was very receptive to all of the things that we presented. And we had some things that happened right away. We created our organizational diversity and inclusion statement. Hat tip to Bill Limpathacian and Megan Kelly for spearheading that. We earmarked 20% of all travel grants to be awarded to minority or underserved applicants. The new scholarship that Leo mentioned, we made sure that the wording strongly encourages submission of women, minorities, and underrepresented students. We are work in progress of updating our outreach contact lists with some really great contributions from members like you, from people who know of not only did we expand the types of and the places that we were doing outreach, but also you can see we expanded beyond just geography programs, trying to find a more diverse net of people who, would be interested in maps and cartography. And we also had kind of what might seem like a small change to the description of the director at large position, so that's more encouraging to newcomers. We always want to make everything, that was a good tip by somebody. And that was sort of that was beginning of March, and then towards the end of April, beginning of May, there was, some change in plans. The board was meeting during that time, kind of discussing things. And as you know, the in-person conference was canceled due to COVID-19. We made that call, I believe, at the end of May. And then just the weekend later, all of the civil unrest, social unrest began, sparked kind of in Minneapolis, as Leo mentioned, which was just so sad. And we really, the Diversity and Inclusion Collective came back together to try to, we wanted to refocus, of course, with all of the things that were happening in the world on top of COVID-19 and the social justice movements. So we wanted to really refocus our lens. And we decided to focus on conference specific initiative, especially now that it was going to be a virtual conference. And we had a whole laundry list of recommendations that we took to the planning committee, to Mamatha and team. And I was just so impressed. They looked at every single recommendation and gave a very detailed answer, consideration. And, this quote kind of sums it up. A virtual conference increases accessibility for presenting and allows us to radically transform the conference program by centering the voices of those who have been historically marginalized and erased from contemporary cartography. So that was sort of the lens that we approached this virtual conference with. There was, as I mentioned, there was commitment from Mamatha and the board to prioritize presenters from underrepresented groups, increase outreach for presentation. In the past, NACIS has put out calls for participation, and people, of course, have encouraged folks one by one, but this time we knew that if we wanted to have a diversity of presenters and topics, that we really needed to go out and solicit people that we knew were doing the work that we were interested in representing. That goes to the same with the keynote speaker, again, prioritizing accessibility, creating better guiding documents and emphasizing accessibility measures, and of course, repurposing travel grant money towards scholarships for underrepresented mappers. And so I hope you'll be able to see some of these changes evident at NACIS this year. We actively recruited diverse speakers and topics with almost 25% over between PCD and main conference. We have a record number of new and first-time presenters. We're using Slack channels now for, and you'll see that that's going to continue on after the conference. We're hoping to use that to aid in transparency of board operations and just, how people can communicate with the board. Oh yeah, I just want to show there is an existing channel there right now, Subcom Diversity, and that's where we will be discussing all things diversity and inclusion. We have a focus on accessibility. The lunch bunch was completely organized by folks from the D&I committee. And we have a specific code of conduct for the virtual meeting. So I think this, kind of out of the past to the future is very true with diversity and inclusion. We have things ongoing right now. Alicia Iverson has started this Youth NACIS initiative where she's really interested in how to get young people involved in cartography. I have the Slack channel there. And then one of the big things that we also rely on a lot is wanting to gather more demographic data. We don't ever gather demographic data upon registration. So we don't actually have a good way of tracking if our racial and gender diversity is increasing or decreasing or things like that. We get a lot of that from a post-conference survey, which we send out each year. So I just want to give a nod to say, please fill that survey out so we can know who our membership is and know the places that we need to serve. So yeah, you can stay up to date on all the diversity and inclusion news on our website. There is a specific place for that now. You can find me on Twitter, on Slack, at these coordinates, that email. And now I'm going to hand it over to Mary Beth, who has a treasurer's report.
Hello, everyone, and it's been really fun so far. I hope you're all enjoying this virtual conference as much as I am, the best we can do in the circumstances. I'm happy to report that the financial state of our organization is good. I have two graphics for you today. The first one is showing the end of year on paper balance. A little background might be helpful for this one. NACIS is a not-for-profit organization, and our financial calendar operates on the normal calendar year. The blue line on this graphic presents a snapshot of our on-paper balance at the end of each year since 2008, as reported to the IRS. The orange line near the bottom, never below, represents contractual commitments we have in place to cover the future NACIS conference sites for the next 3 years, as well as annual bare bones operating expenses for the organization. You can think of that orange line as an emergency reserve fund. And lastly, I want to point out there's a continuous gap between the orange and blue lines, and that assures that NACIS is financially secure, well managed, and stable. The next slide shows what we're calling big expenditures. I thought it's useful for everyone to see where the money goes. The board just makes these decisions on how this is allocated every year. It shows the major annual budget expenditures since 2008 through the end of the year 2019. A particular note in this graph is the coral line at the right. It spikes in the years 2018 and 2019. And this reflects the Atlas of Design printing and shipping expenses that we've incurred for Volume 4 in 2018 and the reprinting of Volumes 1, 2, and 3 last year. I wanted to note that the Volume 4 actually sold out immediately, and we made a significant net financial gain on that. But on this graph, we're just looking at expenditures. There's two additional big expenditures in 2019 that continued into 2020. A major upgrade to the NACIS.org website, and the decision to continue video streaming PCD and conference sessions. And that ultimately led to the decision to move to a virtual NACIS 2020. Video streaming costs about $20,000 annually, and efforts to cover this expense are progressing, but we still have more to do. This year, we received $7,900 in sponsorships and donations, and we thank those people who donated. And thank you to Tom Patterson for orchestrating those efforts. While unexpected events unfolding in 2020 have altered our planning significantly, the NACIS board is carried on with creative solutions, and I'm confident our organization is resilient enough financially to weather this storm. And finally, for those who are new to this organization, I want to be sure that you know that I, as treasurer, and part of a financial team supporting NACIS. And I want to give a special shout out to our incredible business manager, Susan Peschel. Thank you so much, Susan. So those are the highlights for this treasurer's report. If you have questions or would just like to get more detailed information, I'm available anytime if you want to send me a note via Slack or contact me at email or at one of our remaining social events here at the conference. So thank you. And back to Leo.
Thank you, Mary Beth, and thank you, Rosemary, for those good reports, committee reports. I would like to, let's see, I'd like to continue, let's see if I can do this without, there we go. I'd like to continue with one more report, and that's about our journal, Cartographic Perspectives. Now, the editor of CP of Cartographic Perspectives, Amy Griffin, couldn't join us today. So she sent her regrets on that and asked me to cover a little bit for her and to let you know that it's doing well. And anyone who's interested in contributing, please contact her at the address there below. You can find it also on the nacis.org website. She also wanted me to let you all know that she's recruiting a team to produce a special issue on diversity in cartography so that the journal can contribute to the broader set of discussions about diversity, both in the organization and in the profession more generally. So anyone who is excited about the prospect of that, please get, or anything having to do with cartographic perspectives, please get in touch with Amy. She'd love to hear from you. Now it's the time in the business meeting where we say our hails and farewells, where we say goodbye to those people who are leaving or getting off the board or leaving, and to welcome those who are coming in. So we begin with a big farewell, a very big farewell, and that is to Tom Patterson. Tom has been our executive director for the last couple of years. He's stepping down from that position, and the board are now reassessing how we're going to be handling the executive director position. So there'll be a hiatus for that. More on that later. But I did want to call out Tom. Everyone knows him. He's been a NACIS member since 1986. He's had numerous positions on the board. He's been the president, a number of other things. Everyone knows him well, and I'm assured we're going to really miss having him on the board. But I've been assured by him that he's still going to be a completely active member of NACIS. So you're not saying goodbye to him. This farewell is only his farewell on the board. We'll be seeing him around at future meetings. The other big farewell we have to say is for Ginny Mason, who's cycling off as past president. And I personally want to give a big shout out to Ginny for a fantastic service over the 4 years. As she was as a vice president and as a president, she's been a magnificent past president, helping everybody out along the way. And we couldn't have done it without her. So stay tuned. There's more on Ginny coming up in a little bit. Not quite a full farewell there either. So then we have to say good farewell to our directors at large, what we call the board members, and a really big sad farewell to Bill Limpasathian, who as a student director of large has been absolutely outstanding job doing that. Very engaged, as I'm sure you know. We owe him a big debt, and we're very sorry to see him step off the board. We also say goodbye to others who have contributed a whole lot as directors at large: John Nelson, Lauren Tierney, and Rosemary, as mentioned before. We're going to miss having them around the board, but I'm pretty sure that all three of those are still going to be around and still going to be involved with NACIS. They've contributed a whole lot over the last year. So now we move over to Hales, our new people. And the big news is Travis White is now our vice president-elect. And so those of you who are not really aware of the way NACIS works, it's a 4-year track where someone becomes a vice president-elect, then the vice president, then the president, then the past president. So Travis is starting that long journey, and we're very glad to have him. So we'll be seeing more of him over the next few years. We also want to say hello to the new directors at large we've got coming here: Elaine Guidero, who I think many people know, Vanessa Kanupke-Wessel, who also has been deeply involved. Both of them have in the board in the past, so they're familiar to most, as well as relative newcomers Denise Liu and Wenfei Xu as the student director at large. We're very excited to have all these people coming in and contributing to what we do. And this is a big surprise, I guess, for those who aren't in the know, but now everyone's in the know, is that the board decided that we're going to create a new executive position that we call the Director of Continuity. And Ginny Mason has agreed to fill this role. So even though she's stepping off as in the presidential track, she's coming back to be our Director of Continuity to help cycle in the whole business of documenting our procedures, of being able to help out the new people coming on board as we cycle either to another virtual or another in-person meeting, and all the other things that Ginny does so well. We're very, very pleased that she's agreed to do this. Thank you, Ginny. Also continuing in their roles is Susan Peschel, who Mary Beth so well memorialized, our business manager, and everyone knows Susan. If you don't, I can't imagine, you have to be new to NACIS to not know Susan. And then Nick Martinelli, who are absolutely sterling director of operations. A little bit more on him, but he is one of the essential duct tapes that's holding together this organization. Also continuing as an associate business manager is Martha Bostwick. She's more and more filling in the sorts of duties that Susan Peschel has been doing and doing a great job of it. And of course, who we just heard from, Mary Beth Cunha, our treasurer. Continuing also in his role as secretary is Hans van der Marel and Amy Griffin as the editor of Cartographic Perspectives. And as well, the last two of the officers I mentioned, Patrick Kennelly is now stepping down as vice president, or stepping up from the vice president-elect to the vice president, and I am stepping from being a president to the past president in just a couple of minutes here. Continuing also here are our three directors at large, Kate Leroux, who's been absolutely magnificent in this conference, as well as Molly O'Halloran, both been absolutely ideal board members to work with, and Tim Wallace also. Those three directors at large are continuing with us. I want to make a very special thanks to everybody who ran for the board this year. That just shows the NACIS spirit that we had such a fantastic slate of candidates to choose from, and I had a really hard time myself when it came to voting. So welcome to everybody who's new here at the NACIS board, and thanks very much to those who left or are leaving. Now I want to talk about some of the other volunteers, and I'll move rather quickly here, which is a pity because they are owed so much. Our social media coordinators, Kate Kowalski and Hans van der Marel, have been coordinating our social media over the last year and doing a fabulous job with it, as I think everyone knows. Kate Leroux took over from Adam Wilbert as NACIS news coordinator and has been sending out those fabulous newsletters with those great pictures. Also, I want to have a shout out for the Cartographic Perspectives editorial team and as well as the Cartographic Perspectives editorial board for all the work that they do to keep our journal running smoothly and of such a high quality. A big shout out, and we'll hear again later from them, to the Atlas of Design editorial team, Nat Case, Vanessa Konopke-Wetzel, Brooke Marston, and Carolyn Rose. The NACIS 2020 program volunteers, now here's where we switch over, not just the people who have been doing work all the year long, but have really worked to make this program work the way it has. So we'll start with Practical Cartography Day, our coordinator, Patrick Kennelly, and our two moderators or hosts, Katie Perry and Ross Thorne. For the main conference coordinators, for the main conference moderators, they all stepped up. They all did a wonderful job, or are still doing a wonderful job. Martha Bostwick, Alex Fries, Elaine Guidero, Grayson Harris, Megan Kelly, Katie Kowalski, Ginny Mason, John Nelson, Tim Wallace, Rosemary Wardley, and Wenfei Shu. Also, a big thanks to Map Gallery student competitions. And again, if you have not filled out your voting for the student competitions, take the time to do it. There's some absolutely fantastic things going there. Those were put together by Martha Bostwick and Mary Beth Cunha. Thank you so much, Martha and Mary Beth. More program volunteers. The Code of Conduct was revised started then revised by Megan Kelly and Bill Limpasathian. We did a fabulous job with that. And our 40th anniversary map quilt with David Lambert, and who was basically the stitcher together of it, as he has been in the past, and did a fantastic job at corralling it. And 23 past presidents, myself included, who contributed to it. Great result. So we also want to thank our program communications coordinators. In other words, the people who made Slack the way it is now, our primary communications tool. Bill Limpasathian, Nick Martinelli, and Rosemary Wardley all contributed greatly towards that. Although others did as well, they were the top coordinators. I can't say it enough how much we owe a debt to Nick Martinelli as our technical coordinator. He has been just patient, and every time everyone's freaking out because something went wrong, he's been there quietly making sure that it gets back on track. He's been absolutely fabulous, and he's backed up by, or I should say led by in a certain strength, by our very great E3 video streaming crew. These guys have been fabulous for us. Timothy Arthur, Ethan Hill, Joe Arthur, and Liam Boning have just done fantastic work for us to keep this going. We really appreciate their help. Also, I'd like to call out the social events coordinators that, who basically sat around in the board meetings and figured out how we do these marvelous social events. Kate Leroux, Molly O'Halloran, and Tom Patterson were all instrumental in doing this. Furthermore, we have the Meet Cardo hosts. I hope you guys will be taking advantage of that tomorrow. Vanessa Konopke-Wetzel will be at one table, Vicki Johnson at another, and our keynote speaker, Marussia Musacchio, will also be there. That should be a popular event. Wednesday night meetup, I want to give a special thanks to Ross Thorne for the live music and fundraising that he did. I really enjoyed that. All right, and so moving a little forward ahead, we have the Friday night Geo Trivia, which is our substitute for GeoDweeb Jeopardy. Dennis McClendon will be back in that role as our host for that, and we're looking forward to that a lot. A big thank you to our new attendee ambassador, Vicki Johnson, who has been fielding any kind of information coming in for all our new attendees, and there have been many of them and doing a great job. Also, these days, what's a conference without a t-shirt? And this year's t-shirt was designed by Travis White with big help from Lauren Tierney, Tom Patterson, and Nick Martinelli. The content you've been seeing, the program you've been seeing has been led partly by fantastic speakers who were recruited by these people: Mamata Akella, Daniel P. Huffman, Megan Kelly, John Nelson, Molly O'Halloran, and Ali Olivier, all contributed to getting some of these great speakers, the types that we normally wouldn't necessarily see. This is our 40th anniversary, and from the very beginning we started coordinating it, but the people who really did that work best was Susan Peschel, Martha Bostwick, and Tom Patterson. And the conference scene coordinators were Mamata Akella, Martha Bostwick, Tom Patterson, and Lauren Tierney. So our conference streaming coordinator who arranged the streaming was Tom Patterson. And I want to give a special shout out to the conference streaming sponsors listed below, who each sponsored one of the sessions that you'll be seeing, you've seen or will be seeing. We thank them very much for their sponsorship and generosity. So that's what I wanted to say about NACIS volunteers. I just wanted to let you know volunteers are really what make NACIS thriving in an effective society. NACIS is all about its volunteers. Without them, we simply wouldn't do what we do, and certainly they what make it so fantastic to be a member of this society. So you might want to consider getting involved. I have. You might want to decide to run for the board, or you know someone who you think should run for the board, or you want to get involved in one of our committees, or just contribute your talents in any kind of way. Whether it's graphic, whether it's working with WordPress or other things, there's all kinds of. We want your talents. We want to make sure that you contribute to the society as much as you can. So if you are interested, please see a member of the board or visit nacis.org. There's a Get Involved page on that website. And now we're going to introduce our new president. Before we do, I just wanted to make a quick thank you. I've been very honored and humbled and very much enjoyed my role as president. As I said before, working for NACIS or being in a leadership role at NACIS is just a huge pleasure because of all the support you get from fantastic, creative, intelligent, kind people who have your back. It's absolutely wonderful to, every time something goes wrong, every time you need something, there's always someone there who's got your back or will carry your water. So thank you, all of you, everyone on the NACIS board, all my volunteers, all our volunteers, for making this year, the year of my presidency in such trying times, such a delight. So in terms of our new president, I think many of you know who she is. She and I go back a fair ways. We've interacted the way NACIS people normally do, especially if you've been on the board. So, having drinks around Susan and Bob Peschel's living room, hanging out in conference rooms in various venues. I remember one time when I was with this particular president on a free light rail in Portland, going from the hotel to the airport, where we talked about cartography. Also, she and I were responsible, I like to say, for reinvigorating the t-shirt, the annual t-shirts. We sat around before Pittsburgh and decided we were going to have a t-shirt that was conference specific, which was designed by by Alex Tate, if I recall. And that started the t-shirt thing that we've had annually since. So I'd like to introduce her. She's a dynamic, fantastic, really gung-ho person. Your new president, Mamata Akella.
Thanks, Leo, and thank you, Rosemary and Mary Beth, for the great updates on what the organization has been doing. And Leo, thank you so much for everything that you've helped me with and mentored me through this year to work on this conference. I've really appreciated you always just being a phone call away whenever I've needed you through the various moments I've had. So I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about kind of where I want to, or the areas that I want to work on next year as president for our organization. And first of all, I want to reiterate the thanks from Leo to everybody that helped pull this off. Congratulations on a job well done. This was a group effort. And like Leo said, I've just been, I don't know, just really touched by no matter what was going on, there was always this collective, we can do it, and we all did it. And so hats off to everybody, and thank you so much. I think that what we've been seeing over the past day and a half-ish is that this is really inspiring. It's really inspiring to see what we've been able to do. And I think it's really a reflection on both the current NACIS, but also the NACIS of the past. And like Rosemary said, oh my gosh, I just forgot the conference slogan all of a sudden. Out of the past to the future, yes, while keeping the sense of community and belonging that past NACIS has made so important. And I think another thing is that being able to see us go online like this just shows how far of a reach NACIS has, and the distance that this like cartographic love and this community and this organization can travel. And so what I would like to do I'm still like kind of thinking through it because we're just getting done with, well, we're not even done, but we've been going gung-ho on the conference. So I apologize that I don't have it all lined up yet, but some of the things that I think are really important that I've seen, especially over this past year organizing the conference, is really supporting board members and the NACIS community to help foster and drive initiatives that bring this organization into the next generation of what it has just been naturally transforming into. And so some of those things are like Rosemary, she did such a great job kind of spearheading, and she's so good at bringing people together, listening to everybody, and taking all these ideas in and presenting them to the board. And that played a huge role in conference organization this year. We also took very seriously the post-conference feedback that we got from Tacoma. We also took very seriously the feedback that we got from everybody about what you, our community, wanted this online conference to be. So one of the things I really want to make sure that we do is continue working with our committees that are doing this hard work, continue working with our communities that are responding to our surveys. And the reason we're asking you for that feedback is because it's really important to us. And we want to make this a place where everybody feels welcome and where everybody's ideas are heard. And we are going to continue to do what we can to bring it all into our organization. Now that we're kind of online, we are also hitting a new kind of milestone that we've wanted to hit for quite some time, which is having a broader international reach. And it's just so amazing and awesome to see, again, like how far the NACIS love and community spreads. And so I think, one day we are going to go back into in-person conferences, and we don't know exactly when that's going to be. It could be next year, it could be 2 years from now. But what I really want to make sure is, we do, whether we're especially if we're in person and if we're online, is to continue fostering these relationships. It shouldn't be that you could, have access to the conference this year, even if you weren't in the hotel because you live in a different country. I hope we can figure out how to continue this pattern, whether when we're in person as well. The other thing that I would like to take a little bit of a look at is looking at the committees that NACIS has. And, as you've probably heard many times, and for those of you familiar with the organization, we're an all-volunteer organization. So really, I think what I've seen and what I've known about this organization is that when we put our minds to it, we can do it. And so I think that it will be really important for us as an organization to look at our committees, to look at our initiatives, and really work on channeling these volunteer resources to very impactful areas that our community wants, that our organization wants, and again, to move us into the next generation. And I don't want to lose the momentum that we're all feeling from this conference. And so, I don't know. I want to foster everything. And I'm here, please reach out to me. Please don't feel like any suggestion's a bad suggestion, that any suggestion won't be heard or listened to or anything, because we are here to listen, to be better and to get better and to continue doing the things that we do really well, to continue doing those. And that's it. Thank you. And I think we were going to see if anybody had questions into the chat. If you have any questions for the organization, please let us know.
I've been looking and I haven't seen any specific questions. So.
Rosemary, nice t-shirt.
Thanks. Get it nice to shop. I don't know how I lost my voice when we're not even in person, but stay lovely.
I know. I could tell you're, yeah. Okay, we have a question in. If we're in person next year, will it be in Oklahoma City? Yes, that is the current plan. And Pat Kennelly, who will be VP and program chair for next year, will talk more about that at our closing session on Friday. What are the committees? Okay, so we have the outreach and communications, diversity and inclusion. We have the membership benefits. We have the membership analytics. We have the planning committee. I know. Oh, we have the finance committee. We have the Ginny, help me out here. I don't know. How about after this call, I will post all of the, I will post it. Julie, after the call, I will post the committee list as a thread to your question. Thank you for asking it, and sorry, can't remember all of them.
A couple of them, if I can break in, would be the nominations committee, which
yes.
I'm about to start heading. And also although it's not a committee, there's a publications group that includes Cartographic Perspectives. So that's another way to get involved at a sort of a board level, but not necessarily at a committee level. Thanks.
Yeah, and Daniel Huffman just put in a really good point in the channel. All of the committees are open for anyone to join. It's not just limited to board members. So yeah, if you're interested in volunteering or contributing, please let us know. Yeah, thank you, Julie. So Julie's asking, what about, she wanted to know which committees most need volunteers. And we have our, typically what happens at an in-person conference is that we have our board meeting with our new board members the last day of the conference. Given this new online format and everything that we've kind of had to organize, we're putting that off about a week or so. At that point, what we will do is go through our committees and get committee chairs. And that will be a time when we can make some announcements about we are looking volunteers for these specific committees. So we'll be sure to keep communication. We'll be sure to keep communicating that once we have that more figured out for this upcoming year.
And anybody in the meantime who is interested in joining that board meeting, that later board meeting, who thinks they want to know more about our committees, they're welcome to do so. Just let us know. Send a message to any board member or meeting@nacis.org, and we'll send you the invite so you can join and listen in and see what sorts of things we do. We'd love to see you.
Okay, so we'll wait a couple more minutes for any. Okay, so Nat, Mary Beth, Nat has a question for you. Can you say anything about the financial impact, plus or minus, of having the meeting virtual?
Hi, Nat. That's a great question. And obviously, when the conference ends, we'll have all the bills in front of us. But at the moment, it does look like it will give us a deficit hit. But as I said, we've sort of planned for any kind of an emergency, and we have stability in our budget. And I don't expect it will be an overwhelming amount. I think we can absorb it, is what I'm saying, this 1 year. Hopefully it won't be prolonged. I will mention here that the conferences in the past 5 years have produced some income because they were so well attended, beyond belief, last year, especially in Tacoma. So we did have a little bit of cushion there from conference net income. We, again, just for everyone, we don't plan to have the conference make money. We just don't want to lose money. So we're very concerned about keeping our finances stable. But last year, we had a really big conference and we did net some income. So that helps. Hope if you want to talk to me later, please contact me. Thanks, Nat.
Thanks, Mary Beth.
If we're sitting here with dead space, I'll just go on a little bit more to say that that we are a not-for-profit. We're not trying to make money, but when we do make money through our various initiatives, whether that's an Atlas of Design or a high level of membership at a meeting, we funnel that money back into the society. Our whole purpose of if we do make any money is to be able to fund the initiatives that the board comes up with, and we want to hear from the membership what those initiatives should be. If you have a good idea, we'd love to hear it. That's the way this society runs.
Okay, we have another question from Valerie Bright. Thanks for asking this. Also curious, okay, well, after the conference, how the virtual conference impacted new memberships. Yeah, so we will report final numbers after the conference, but what we've seen is a great increase in our membership. I think we're over 800 by now, which is really amazing for our society. Looks like we have a couple of people typing, so we'll see what's coming in. Okay, this is a great one for Rosemary. I'm a newbie. What do you find most enjoyable about being involved in NACIS?
Great question, Brad. I mean, the things that I find most enjoyable are interacting with the people that I've met through NACIS. It gives you, I first got involved, this is my 10th year at NACIS, and I got involved after a couple of years starting to help with organizing PCD, and then I got onto the board and things like that. And yeah, it's just, the thing I enjoy the most is just, you can see that the people who work on it are passionate about the conference and about, you know, keeping the great traditions alive, but also expanding new ones. NACIS is a very, I feel like it's a close-knit community, even though we're 800 strong now. So it's just a great way to kind of stay involved and work on your passions outside of just the annual conference once a year. So.
Rosemary embodies the spirit of NACIS, and I hope that for those of you who haven't been able to meet her this year because we're online, that you do get to meet her when we're back in person. So Anthony Robinson has made a great suggestion. He's one of, he is a past president of NACIS and also has been involved in the society for many years. And I don't know if everybody can see the messages. I don't need to, maybe I don't need to read them, but he's suggesting that a potential initiative for next year will be to help support as much travel money as possible, perhaps more than any other year in the past, to help get folks back into the in-person meeting. As many people are still likely to have budget restrictions well into the 21-22, even after we have a vaccine and treatments that might enable reemergence. Yeah. Great point, Anthony. Thank you. Matt, we're really glad to have you in our virtual space. Thanks for joining us.
And I hope we'll see you at a future in-person meeting as well.
Great. Matt, thank you for your feedback that you're putting in the channel. And like Rosemary and I were both mentioning, we will be sending out post-conference surveys, and that will be a great place for you to put this feedback for us. And if we pulled this virtual out of 40 years of an annual meeting. That is always in person. This is our first virtual one. So we're still, this is the first time we've done it, and we want to definitely improve the experience. So we will be taking your feedback very seriously if we do go to another online conference in the post-conference survey.